It could, yeah. I definitely agree with you in that regard. I think that you took it to a very detailed place, and I
I'm
understand
concerned about my health.
you're a detail orientated guy. Well, no, I you should be, but we didn't set the parameters. It's not like I'm going to assume this is just some random person spit. You put this whole entire thing on it. Welcome, everyone, to the Canadian Talkin Shop, the 10th episode of the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast. And my name is Stu Francis, and I am your host. And joining me, as always, is my fellow brother in the heat wave slumber over in the West Coast, the king of the Cheems memes himself, Mr. Mike Bierkoff. What's going on, brother?
Not much. How's it going, everybody? Nice to see you again for our 10th episode.
Yeah, it was weird not being here last week.
Yeah, it was a neat little highlight video.
It was, to be honest, I haven't even, as some people know, like my close enough friends know, and you know, and some of the listeners know, any of the new listeners now watching or listening, I don't like running back and watching nothing of myself. I don't like watching old stuff. I don't like, so I was gonna make an effort for the video because it's like I wonder what highlights you put together, but I'll be very honest, I just can't do it. So I have no idea what highlights you put together, but from what I've told, you've done a great job. So as obviously, as most people know, we decided to take a week off because my dog Loki passed away now almost 2 weeks ago. Well, by the time you're hearing this, it'll be 2 weeks ago. And it just felt right to just take a week off. And you have some stuff going on as well, so it just kind of felt like the right time to, even though it was early into our show's history, to do a montage. But hey, very appreciative that you did that, and people seem to have dug what you did, so I appreciate it again, man.
Yeah. Brad put his hand to the grindstone on that editing section. So
Oh fuck. See, this is episode 10. Brad's not allowed here. No mentioning of Brad, no nothing. This is a highlight episode. I'm in a good mood, and you wanted to start this off on a low note by talking about that fucking idiot Brad.
Brad's like a Mufasa for you.
Brad's a fucking something, or that's for sure. But like I said, people, we're celebrating episode 10. This is our Q&A episode. A lot of you have sent in questions. Definitely appreciate. We got a lot of great stuff to cover today. We're gonna pretty much get right to it. Just gonna get some stuff out of the way and then get right to our first question. So, audio listeners, if you're listening to this episode, please like, follow, or subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it. Just throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, and Apple Podcast listeners specifically, throw us a 5-star review, please. Search Canadian Talkin Shop podcast on YouTube and check out the video version of the podcast there. Leave us a review in the comments and we'll read it on the air. We have highlights of each episode in our last episode, actually, episode 9 is a lot of highlights of some of the best stuff that we've done so far. And each Saturday at noon, we do drop some bonus content on there for you. Just want to let the viewers know that this week's bonus content is going to be what we failed to produce for you on episode 8. Where there was some really great stuff with Binky on there. A lot of you guys like Binky. Shout out to Binky again for doing that episode with us. It was a lot of great fun. And we'll definitely have him back on the show at some point, but we did some great bonus stuff with him. So check that out this coming Saturday at noon Eastern time. And also, too, our goal is to have 50 subscribers on the YouTube channel and by the end of August. There's only a couple days left, folks. Please help us out. We're going on an all-out blitz here. We're currently sitting at this time of recording 44 subscribers. If you just don't care about the show whatsoever, anything, just throw us a subscribe. It means nothing. It takes 5 seconds of your day. Everybody's really quick to press like on selfies and such. Why not someone that's trying to make something of themselves? So please give us a like on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Let us know that you're listening. And check us out on Instagram, CTS_pod. We're currently sitting at 249 subscribers. We want 300 on there by the end of August. So if you could take a screenshot, put it into your Instagram stories and tag us, let us and the world know that you're listening. Tell your friends about what you enjoy about this show. Please share it with people. And that's how we grow. If you're enjoying what we're doing, that's how we grow. So please help us get to 300 by the end of August. And honestly, that's it on my end. Anything you got going on in the world of cheams and whatnot?
Just making memes and planking beams. That's about
There you
it.
have it. And
Yeah.
you can find them at Cutlet House on Instagram. It's underscore Cutlet House underscore, and also on Facebook, Cutlet House Playlist.
You betcha. Yeah. Just been over there making some memes lately. Gonna probably drop something on the YouTube sometime next month. Might do another, I was gonna say Charlie Murphy. Might do another Uncle Murphy. I don't know. Whatever.
Do another Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy, Uncle Murphy. Maybe that'll happen. That'd be hilarious.
That would be a cool little combo there, the Charlie Murphy, Uncle Murphy. Excuse me, I'm smoking on some Canica 30, and it's 30% THC. It's very, very thick on the lungs. But speaking of Facebook, before we begin, I want to talk a little about Facebook. So obviously, I don't really know what's going on with Facebook and what's admittedly kind of what's going on with your page and whatnot. That's why I enjoy asking you about it on here, because I'm not really on Facebook that much. This week, you know, some of the listeners know, I decided, you know what, I'm going to share a couple things. And one of them, I am going to read to the, no, hold on, let me start that over. And one of the posts I'm going to read to you listeners. It's about vaccination cards. So basically, it's a setting of a restaurant. And the first person goes, "Hi, table for two, please." Waitress says, "Sure, and your name?" "Bill." "Great. And do you and your guests have your vaccination cards?" Well, first, can you tell us who our server will be?" "Looks like Brad will be your server tonight." "Great. Can you show us Brad's vaccination card?" And I'm not making this up, people. This is just on a post that I stole from someone, not this fucking idiot Brad that's come on this show, not him. But you know what? It's not surprising. Brad's just got a shitty name. And so anyway, so can you show us Brad's vaccination card? And not Brad O'Brien. You're an exception because you're my friend. And also, can you provide me with proof that Brad is not a carrier of HIV, hepatitis A and B, or any other communicable diseases? Same for you and your kitchen staff. Also, we prefer not to be served by someone who is on or uses recreational drugs such as marijuana, cocaine, meth, fentanyl, etc. So if you could provide us with Brad's most recent talk screen, that would be great. As a matter of fact, I'm going to need to see all your employees' medical histories. Moral of the story is that restaurants and gyms and all those spots, they need us. We don't need them. We've proven during this time that we didn't need them and that they needed us. And I understand a lot of different places and a lot of different cities and a lot of different communities have invoked the vaccine cards and the vaccine passports and all that stuff. And it's not really their fault. But what I was trying to share with people is my annoyance with how it's okay to be asked for your vaccination card, and it's not an infringement on your privacy whatsoever. But, you know, all these other like, let's just say you're a cook in a kitchen, you have HIV. You cut yourself and you bleed and you don't even notice it. A little bit of that blood is now in someone's food, possibly. That could possibly get someone sick. You can now be possibly infecting someone. Same with Hep A, same with Hep B, same with all the other things I just mentioned there. We don't ask for none of their stuff. All of those things could be deadly, especially to the wrong person. So I was just trying to convey that. And I figured that by sharing something controversial finally, which I don't tend to do, I tend to steer away from it. But now I don't, because I just don't care anymore. I'm going to say whatever it is I want to say, and if people don't like it, people don't like it. And I was getting blowback, and I got blowback from someone, and I did not suspect that I would get the childish blowback. What I was expecting was maybe if someone disagreed, they would state their case for disagreeing. And then we could have a healthy conversation as to what they think, what I think, and even if we reach no middle ground, because let's face it, when you go on to social media, you don't go onto Facebook to have your mind changed. You have your way of thinking about it, and that's the end of it. And you're looking to reach like-minded people that also think and feel the exact same way as you. So you're not interested in having people really come. But to me, I don't mind. If you want to have a conversation, you want to try and change my mind, I can do that. Like I said, if we come at an impasse, whatever, we're still friends. Agree to disagree. Well, someone didn't see it that way. And then you actually chimed in and had a healthy retort to the individual. And the individual then proceeded to, with name calling, and basically told you if you don't like masks or agree with masks, then you can go fuck yourself too.
Yeah, and he said he didn't know me, so I could go fuck off into the sunset.
There you go. Yeah. So, and I'm not having that. I just, because you know me, I shut shit like that down all the time. You actually get fucking frustrated with me because in groups, I shut down trolling in such right away where you want to see the shit pop off. And I do the same thing for my friends. Fuck that. You're not going to come on here and say whatever it is you think you can say to my friend and think that that's okay. I'm not going to let you do that. So, and then it became a whole rigmarole and a whole thing. So I followed this by posting another post stating, listen, I have my views on the world. I will think and feel however the fuck I want. I'll convey it however the fuck I want. And I don't care if you disagree. It's fine if you disagree, because I don't care who you vote for. I don't care who you pray to. I don't care if you think COVID is real or not. I don't care if you're masks or no masks. I don't care if you're vaxxer of COVID, non-vaxxer for COVID. I don't give a shit about none of that. Are you good to me? Are you good to animals? Are you a caring person? Because sometimes people are just misguided in their thoughts or whatever have you. It's just not important to me. And then I was challenged by that, where it's like, well, your previous post, you're basically putting yourself in a position where you can piss people off and create controversy. But then in this post here, you're saying that you don't give a fuck about anybody's opinion or anything like that, as long as you're just good. So I'm confused. The moral of the story is that you should be able to post on Facebook whatever the hell it is that you want, as long as it's not something egregious, like some sort of racially charged, statement or something, just as an example, or posting something about like violence towards like women, children, animals, shit like that. Okay, that's not cool. But if you're just stating an opinion about something that's going on in the world right now, there's this little thing called, just if you don't agree, just keep going. Because that's what I do. I see so many even listeners of this show post on social media, and I see some of the things they say, and I do what a lot of people probably do with my posts. They groan, roll their eyes, and carry on. If you disagree, you don't have to put your name in the hat to disagree all the time. It's not everyone has to think like you. Just like everyone doesn't have to vote like you, not everyone has to pray to the same person that you pray to, et cetera, et cetera. Because the way I see COVID is I see it in the same realm as like political, religious, fanatical, stuff like that. It's polarizing. It's going to come with a very, very, very high opinion, and it's a boiling point on social media. So anyway, you should be allowed to say whatever it is you want to say and not have to worry about some dickhead come in and starting to insult you or insult your friends just because you don't agree. Whatever happened to just having conversations? And if you don't agree, just say, to hell with it, who cares? That's like me on a sports level not liking anyone who isn't a Montreal Canadiens fan, because you're not a Montreal Canadiens fan. And then when you post online about the Maple Leafs, I come on there and I start calling you names like, you're a fucking goof because you like the Leafs, you're fucking stupid, and this, and that. Like, how it sounds dumb, right? It's the same thing with COVID and all that stuff too. If someone just doesn't simply believe in masks and such, but you do, good for you. Who cares? You don't have to go and embarrass that person or make fun of them or like name call them. If you wish to educate them, there are ways of doing that without publicly disparaging them. What the fuck happened to this world, Mike? Can you explain to me what the fuck happened to this world?
Liberal agenda happened to this world. I don't know, just like maybe an entitled world. I'm getting so like I joke about boomers all the time, but man, they're everywhere. They're in the way. They're bitching about their phones not picking up GPS. Like, fuck, man. Like everything's a problem with a lot of their shit. They want conformity. They want people to stand in line and do what you're fucking told. I'm not saying they're the main source, but if I was to fucking talk about something, that's one that I've noticed today. Like I went to the fucking mall, and as I'm just walking, I'm paying attention. They're the ones holding up shit. They're the ones bitching and complaining while other people are just trying to have fun because it's a mall on a fucking weekend. Like Facebook's the same, it seems. Usually they're in a position of power, like, like I won't mention the one person's job, but usually they seem to be in a position of power and they want control. Like though this one guy had the same issue with me where I was talking back and forth with him, and he said, if you want to go and be unvaccinated, then you need to go open your own business. And I'm like, well, I just fucking shop online, or I wouldn't go to that store. I'm not going to open my own business to get fucking common goods. Like that just seems stupid. And the person's like, well, you're an anti-masker. And it's like, no. But that person owns a business. And apparently he opened a business so that he can tell people to be fucking vaccinated and wear a mask when they come in the store. So, well, good for him. Like, and that sounds to me like you're more interested in the power than you're interested in the safety. Like, I don't know.
It just seems so convenient to throw out stuff like that. Like, lest we forget last summer, where the numbers were around the same and everyone was unvaccinated. And people were going into restaurants and eating at restaurants and such. My thing is, if this is so fucking bad like they say it is, then why are we allowed to do anything? Honestly, except for going outside in a biohazard suit to do whatever it is we need to do outside until we come back in. If it's that bad, if it's that dangerous to our society, that threatening to our way of life, why are we still allowed to do, like, look at the States. They had Rolling Loud in Miami where they had like 100,000 plus people in an audience. They have all these, like, and they keep going, oh, America, they're making things worse and they're the reason why things are mutating. Okay, in a perfect world, everybody gets vaccinated, which you can still get sick off of, by the way. What's the excuse then when there's still a mutating virus out there? It just, I don't know. It's very confusing because I don't want to be on a anti-vaccination for COVID side, or I don't want to be anti against anything that isn't helpful. It's just hard for me to see why any of the things that they're telling us is helpful is actually being helpful. It just seems more infringing on choices and beliefs and forcing people to do things they necessarily don't want to do. Because I'm sorry, I just can't see why this has been made such a big deal. I just can't. I understand people died, and I understand it's very offensive to anyone that's suffered, anyone that's gone through that. But you know what? People die from things every day. People die. We can't all just live forever. And it's tragic when some people die young. But shit, people die young from stuff all the time. Why is cigarettes okay? Why is alcohol okay? All these things are killers. Yearly, probably kills more people than COVID has. I can't say for certain. I don't know the numbers, but I don't believe numbers anymore because they can just tell you whatever numbers that they want. And then people tell you, oh, go do your research. How is it so easy to do research nowadays and get facts? Just because I go on to whatever government sponsored thing, you know how hard it is to find truth? Because Google, YouTube, Facebook, CNN, major media, they're all fucking going off of whatever agenda they are told to push.
Fucking
So
chicken's dangerous. Fucking you
salmonella.
Get salmonella. Like we didn't stop eating chicken. We didn't stop going to fast food places the first time someone got poisoned by fucking fast food. I don't know, random examples I know, but yeah.
But it goes to the whole scheme of things. It goes to the whole picture and not just that small bit. It's all goes to, there's so many things that are going on that I just don't understand. So let's get to the first question then, because you mentioned liberal, because I have a different take I know you focus on the boomers, I focus on the young. So one of our first questions here is, do you think liberalism is a disease? And I'll let you answer it first.
That's kind of a weird one because like a disease, I'd say is contagious. So I don't know. I don't think it's really a disease. I think
And
it's
that's not
trendy.
necessarily true because I have degenerative disc disease and I can't pass that to you by shaking your hand.
But if you have a child though, it could be through your passed down through your genes, right?
Potentially, but that's yeah. But okay, in that respect, I'll give you
I'm
that.
just trying not to be wrong in this situation. I'll admit that.
I could definitely be wrong now that you mentioned it on that. See, I'm not a doctor, so
I'm becoming a better person. I'm admitting when I'm wrong.
look at us say all like if I was wrong, it's okay. Oh well, if I was wrong, oh I'm sorry. As we've continue this Canadian duel here, on you go with your answer. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a trendy thing to hop onto. You look, there's a certain amount of people that still watch cable TV. There's still a certain amount of people that listen to radio in their cars, so they still have access to that media system, I call it, and that's daily. You know, like in North Korea, they have their propaganda that goes through the speakers all the time. You know, they can't turn that off. But people go into work, you know, they've got their radio station with their two favorite people that fucking make you laugh or whatever. And well, that's like CBC or whatnot. And next thing you know, you're listening about how the liberals are such great people and they should be running our country, and then on CNN, and that's all the news in the States. So you've got that as well. And I can't really say it's a disease, but I'd say it's really easily accessible. Like if you're someone that's new getting like a first time computer, all your news sources are all going to be pointing towards that. You know, you get your TV, they want you to buy cable. They really still push cable even with all the shit going on. Netflix. Like I kind of look at it as like a Trump and Hillary thing. If you were someone that like Trump, you wouldn't be talking about it at work. So I look at it that way. There's a way to fit in. You look like you're not someone who's smart. You know, you're not educated if you're going for the opposite side. You know, you're a degenerate, you're a loser, you're uneducated. You know, they've said it before multiple times.
You're a racist.
Yep, you're a racist. You got someone like Biden on there who's like obviously something wrong with him upstairs, and everyone blindly follows him just for the liberal thing. It's like other people that just blindly follow leaders that make bad decisions. You know, I'll bring up North Korea again, for example, but there's even bigger ones. So I don't think it's a disease. I just think it's something that people just get sucked into. It's almost like a trendy club, and it's almost like you've got to follow it to be safe in society at times. At least lately, like growing up, it didn't seem like it was that big of a deal, but now it seems like it totally is. Like if you go to a job, they say keep politics out of your work, but it's eventually going to show up. And if you're going to be, you know, bashing heads, if you're on the right side of things, you know, like right being conservative or Trump or whatever, you get fired, you lose your job. If you're on the left side of things, you're probably going to keep your job, and you might not even get told to shut up about it. You know, so
Yeah, there seems to be a different set of rules now. I'm gonna answer this in a couple different ways because there's a couple different places to take it. But do I think it's a disease? Like the heart of the question. I don't necessarily think liberalism is a disease. I think you touched on it with trendy. I think things that are trendy are more of a disease. I think governments being able to control media, especially social media and whatnot, is a disease. I think extreme leftism is a disease. And reason why I say that is because it's so contagious in the grand scheme of being able to put out content out there. Like you said, keep your job. This is not, there's a different set of rules, I feel now, to be on one side of the fence compared to the other side of the fence. Now, it's one of those things that used to be very taboo. It used to be a lot more private, along with everything else. That's the problem. Nothing's private no more. right? Even I touched on it at the beginning, talking about Facebook and stuff like that. Like, I felt the urge to share this opinion about something about myself because I felt like I needed to express myself in that moment by taking a stance on that publicly. I didn't really need to do that, to be honest with you. And nobody really needs to take stands publicly on certain things. But we feel, because that's where our world is now, we feel the need to express and share every little thought. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just where our life is right now and where we're at as a society. And where the disease part comes in is now that that's infected, that main source, that main place where people come to share their opinions or share how they feel about things, et cetera, is now tainted because the only information that's getting out there is liberal information. And if it has anything to do with anything conservative, it's negative, it's bad, it's wrong. To the point where Aaron O'Toole and the progressive conservatives, if anyone has seen their new platform that they've released for this flash election, which we will get to because a question has come through in that regard for this episode, it's a liberal agenda. It's not your standard conservative agenda. I shouldn't say it's a liberal agenda. It's a left-leaning. It's a center-left-leaning agenda, and it's great. I love it. I saw that agenda. I was actually shocked. And like I said, we'll get more into that in a bit. But it's you can't be like what you said, a conservative anymore because you'll be labeled as old white, racist, misogynistic, homophobic. Like, all of these pictures have been painted due to one man. That's it, because of Trump, because of all the stupid things that Trump has said. So they've used him as the propaganda machine of why conservatism is bad. And that's what I mean. The Satan Church did that with Baphomet. Baphomet was never originally a satanic figure. So, yeah, I think it's also too trendy with the young kids these days, with the virtue signaling, and they all feel that if a big tragedy takes place, that, when you go onto the stories and you see that some virtue signaler has shared this account where it's like, let's take Afghanistan as an example. Share this post. So what does that do? That gets their account more active. That gets them more followers. That gets them more likes. That gets them more traction. That gets them more money and revenue. Okay. The second thing, hashtag, whatever, we stand with Afghanistan. I'm sorry. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Because the following things after that is keep talking online about it. Keep the conversation going. What does that do? Honestly, what does it do? Because the conversation goes away unless you can make a change, like actually make a change in terms of being a leader to have the power to make the change, or you had a substantial amount of money, or you had a name of notoriety. You can't do shit. I'm sorry, Joe, Mrs. Karen, whatever the fuck on Facebook. You share this post for a couple of days, ain't gonna do shit about shit. But you see it happen every time. Follow this account to educate yourself more, blah, blah, blah. What the fuck is that going to do to stop the Taliban from putting guns in fucking people's faces and fucking blowing their fucking heads off? Tell me whatever social media campaign that is. And that's the problem with the young kids and liberalism these days, is they get that virtue signaling, hopping on fucking whatever's going on in the world, and they follow these accounts and they get suckered into sharing all this shit, which brings traction for the people that benefit from it, not the actual people that should benefit from it. And they think they're doing something positive and true. And you're not, because 2 days later, you're not talking anything about it. And it's only a memory a year from that day in your memories. So I do think it's a disease to a certain degree. I do think it's a problem for an extremist to be anything extreme. That goes for conservatives too. far right-wing conservatives are just as fucking nuts. It's just they're not as prominent and they're not as prevalent and they don't have as much fucking voice and say right now, and nor should they, because it's pretty fucked up, a lot of the things they say. But I just find it funny that the extreme left can say whatever it is they want, and they can point whatever fingers they want, and they can name call and bash, and that's okay. But that's the world we're living in. We're living in a very extreme society where views are very extreme on any side of the fence. So, and I think if you're a religious fanatic, even, I think you're a disease. Like, I think all that stuff that can be easily spread amongst masses, especially during times like these where fear is at its highest. Yeah, I think it's a disease.
I don't know. Maybe it's a terminology, but you hit some pretty bang on points.
Yeah, so I mean, it's I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But the overall terminology, yeah. But it was a great question. But we need to move on to one of the very important questions here, and I don't know if you can handle a question of this magnitude. But a questioner has asked, "Are you guys single? And especially Brad, I have a thing for a guy in glasses."
Brad's taken.
No, he's not. Nobody wants him. The fuck you talking about?
He's I'm right now going through a process with him to learn Italian. To see, being a fan of the Bible, there's this person there that who believes that when we teach people languages, like, we're messing up the original Italian that's in the Bible. So he kind of kept these two children away from people and thought that they'd be able to speak Italian. It didn't work for him, but I'm thinking it might work with Brad. So he's a little bit enclosed right now, but he's definitely taken. He's got an online relationship. They're unique, and a unique pair of people, and you'll probably see his partner there at some point.
I hope not, because I just have this sneaking suspicion that Brad is just talking to himself online on Messenger and thinks he's talking to a woman.
I monitor his internet activity. It has to be monitored. You like I said before, you can't take this person in restaurants, rainbow colored things, et cetera, because if he goes on a website that's rainbow colored, you're losing your computer. And he's going to get really sick, and you got to flush the system with the charcoal stuff so he pukes, and that's a mess. So yeah,
and we all know you're not single. You're married with 14, 15 children. There's a 16th on the way.
I'm happily married. Yes,
with 45 kids.
You keep changing the numbers, so that's good.
Because I'm pretty sure you have a kid every minute of the day. That's how many kids. To answer the question, yes, I am single. I am not as good as Brad, evidently, because Brad has the capability of even locking down an online thing and can't even get a text back. No, in actuality, I'm single. It's just whatever. I honestly, right now, I'm just focusing on my podcast. I know I'm focusing on my career, and I know these things sound like excuses, but it's true. I'm just not extremely interested in a committed relationship right now. But I'm single. I'm still available. So shoot your shot. But before I make more of an ass out of myself, this is a pretty important question too, Mike. Listener says, why the fuck do they make feminine hygiene products scented?
This is very interesting.
I can take a stab, but I don't know.
I once went online and was part of pitching a scented feminine product to a rapper. Yeah, Talib Kweli. What are those
was
ones?
That the catalyst?
That was one of the like 3 or 4, like, because the person I tagged was someone that was trolling him first, so I had tagged him in something, and then all of a sudden it just spiraled from there. And then we were sending him tagging him in all these Vagisil commercials and things like that, and it was pissing him off. But yeah, as for why they're scented, well, I'm just gonna take the guess here. Usually when something is scented, it's usually to hide a smell that people wouldn't want to normally smell. So I'm assuming that is why it would be scented. Either that or the original scent of the product was invasive to the nostrils, and it needed to be scented to fix that original problem. So that's
Invasive
my
to
answer.
the nostrils. Shut the fuck up.
So that's my answer.
That was a brilliant answer. I don't think I could answer it any better because I'm thinking to myself, like, well, if it's scented, that means that whatever the fuck stankin' needs to be, scented up with something a little more pleasant. So I can't tell you exactly what period blood smells like, but evidently it is not divine to the point where it needs roses and lilies or whatever the fuck pads and shit are scented with. I don't know. Why are you asking? I know why you're asking two guys this question, because you wanted a silly answer. Well, silly answer you definitely got. And another question here: what brought you guys together? Well, I mean, I can start this one. For those who haven't listened to the show or anything like that, and I highly suggest that you go back and check out episode 1 and check out the Canada Day special, where Mike and I talk a lot about more backstory on how this all came together. But to give a really short answer, is that we met on a Facebook group, and he runs Mike, as he is in Mike, runs his own Facebook page, and I just noticed the amount of subscribers that he had, and I saw him making his own content, and it was really well done, in my opinion. So I reached out and said, hey, I'm doing a show, and it started off just with, can you help edit, because editing is really frustrating. Yeah, no problem. And then most of the favorite podcasts that I watch or listen to usually have someone to play off of. So we started off with a guest co-hosting and doing some intros and stuff like that. And then, yeah, here we are. It's not just my show now, it's our show. And it just spiraled from one thing to another. And that's how we got here.
See, and that's a disease. See, I came in here and just like and planted my foot down, and now I'm apart, kind of like how Venom just kind of comes in,
Yeah.
takes the morals and twists them.
Yeah, you wormed your way in. You're just like, you sunk your Mikeism or whatever your disease would be.
Now there's Brad.
And that brings me to the next question. Where is Brad, and when will he be returning?
You hear for real? Someone actually asked that.
Someone actually asked that.
He just stopped screaming like 2 days ago. Yeah, like, when will Brad be back? Well, it depends when I want to let him out of the cage and if he's learned Italian yet. So I guess those would be two main things. The last time I let him out, he tried escaping, and he got halfway up the street, and it was a good thing it was at night, because if it was in the day, someone probably would have called the authorities, because the screaming gets really loud. And I have 2 trank darts left, but they're expensive, and with COVID you have to order them online. You can't actually go into the store, so there's like a waiting time and stuff. So I'm concerned about letting him out again, because I'm not a good shot. So it took me about, I don't know, 10 darts, and when they like kind of lying around like the neighborhood, it's a concern, because like there'll be cats and shit that are like sleeping around the streets, because they get a hold of the ones that I don't find. Because like I got to deal with Brad, because he's a big person, and then I got to go out and count all the darts that I missed with, and if I don't find them all, then the cat thing. So yeah, there's some boundaries, some barriers for Brad to come back, but he'll probably be back soon, shortly.
What took Mike 20 minutes to answer, I will answer in 1 second. He's never coming back, because I'm sorry, veto. I just won't allow that green-eyed glass, weird, screaming Italian learning weirdo back on this show. So There you have it. No more Brad.
He's gonna listen to this, you know.
Good for him. Moving on. So a lot's been going on because one of the things as a podcaster, especially because I do a lot of the writing of the shows, and I think to myself, if something doesn't happen in the world anytime soon, I'm getting concerned because what the fuck are we going to talk about? Even though there's always something to talk about. There's been a lot going on in the world since we had a recording last. So, one of the big news stories to break, and that a fan has asked a question on, and I use the word fan here, OnlyFans has decided to roll back their what's made them famous, and that's porn, especially for anyone and everyone to be able to create their own online porn and charge a subscription fee and make a lot of money. And a lot of people have made quite the living off of it, especially during the pandemic. So the listener says, what's your thoughts on OnlyFans reversing what made them so famous in the first place?
What's my thoughts on what made them so famous in the first place?
Well, I'm glad you're listening and paying attention.
No,
here.
I am listening. I am listening.
You're not allowed to edit that out either.
I got distracted by yams and pizza boxes.
Fucking, it's why you don't have people with ADHD doing a podcast. It's just like I'm listening. Well, squirrel. What? Yeah, OnlyFans. What's my thoughts? Yeah, sure. Fucking yams. Put the fucking yam down. Fucking ASAP yams over here. Rest in peace. But answer the damn question. What's your thoughts on OnlyFans reverting back on what made them famous in the first place?
Oh, reverting back. I feel like it's a money grab. But I also feel like it might be cleaning up the platform. Well, are they gonna allow the nudity on there, but just take the money for themselves?
Mm-mm. So how it's supposed to work is that if you know some of the Instagram models that just share like topless photos and nudes and stuff on OnlyFans, but that's the extent of it.
Yeah,
they'll be allowed to carry on the platform. It's the ones that offer any sort of more on the pornography side of things, like masturbation videos or full on, POVs with boy girl or girl girl or a bunch of people or whatever have you. Like it was a carte blanche for them. Now they're all, and they also have to remove all media on the platform that they've loaded to the platform by a certain date as well. So they're the ones that are affected here.
Yeah, so it'll just be used as a halfway point, like in reality. So they'll just put up the fucking scantily clad shit and they'll direct you somewhere else for the videos, because there's already third-party people that have this set up, and there's probably, OnlyFans girls that have other pages that they send their people to already after the one actress they had their attention put on it because she was charging so much a video, so they clamped on it. But a while back they were putting the hammer down on people and they were starting to move. So yeah, I'm not a customer nor a fan or an OnlyFans user for either way, so it didn't really affect me personally. I'm concerned about my tax dollars sometimes, well, not my tax dollars, but their tax dollars, sometimes. But other than that, no, yeah, it's pretty fucked up that happened to them. But with internet and all the platforms, it's kind of expected. Usually what you're doing, what you like to do, if it's popular, it's going to get pinched somehow, whether it's financially or creatively. It's just the way it goes.
I think what people have to remember is one of the biggest reasons, and this is another problem with society, is people just read the headline and then people go make memes off the headline, but no one reads the article, right? So if you look into the reason why OnlyFans is reverting back on these people, is because there are unfortunately quite a few accounts that show underage pornography. And when that starts happening, and you can ask Pornhub about this because they experienced this last year, is that a lot of the companies, the banks and whatnot, and they peel back their business dealings with you. So like in Canada as an example, Interact, let's just use that. And that's like the online banking service essentially, where you can, there's many different things that you can do under Interact. So if you're taking online Interact as your main way of getting money from your subscribers, and then all of a sudden Interact comes to you and says, listen, you've got some shit on your platform that I don't like. We're not going to help you or finance you no more or allow you to use our services no more, then what are you supposed to do? And that's what was happening with OnlyFans. All these different people or all these different companies were like, no, we're no longer going to allow you to transfer money and stuff anymore through our means of doing that, because you have underage sex and stuff like that that's people are making money off of, and then we have to issue you out that money. Just no. So they're not necessarily just upping one day and going, you know what, we want better PR, so we want to kick all the porn off. It's not that. Trust me, if they could continue on how they're continuing on with the business, they would, but they're in a no-win situation. So when all your creditors and all the people that back you and financial backing and financial institutions that, you know, process payments and stuff like that for you start reverting, you're sunk. And like you said, there's plenty of other platforms. They've already gone through this a bunch before. Girls used to do this on MySpace back in the day. And it started with MySpace, and the last one was Tumblr. Girls and stuff were doing shit like this on Tumblr. They do it on Snapchat. Premium Snapchats used to be the big thing, where you had to pay to get their Snapchat handle, and then, you know, they would just send you snaps of all sorts of different stuff throughout the day. And they'll just move on to other platforms. There'll be some other platform that'll come along now and be the next champion of it until they go through the same thing, and so on and so on and so on. This will never stop. OnlyFans was just catchy because it came along at a time where the branding, and it was meme worthy, the branding of the logo and everything. And it was came up during the recession, or not recession, fuck my tongue, but it came up during the pandemic. So any final thoughts on the OnlyFans?
I think that it, like I said, it all porn's kind of a cesspool of debauchery when it comes down to the end of the day. And it's like, I get everyone's got to make their dollar, but it's, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, it's like the stripper at the strip club. Like their day kind of comes to an end in one way fashion. The club shuts down, they shut down, you know. Like I hope the best for them, but like I said, it doesn't really affect me in one way or another. Like I'm certain those people can get other forms of employment.
Well, the world is happy knowing that, you know, a major world event didn't affect Mike. We are very, very happy that
You think the OnlyFans thing is a major world event?
Sure, because a bunch of fucking people around the world make a lot of top money off this shit. And for that to stop, it's sending everything into a microcosm of who's going where. And all these, like, there's millions of dollars in this shit, millions of dollars in this shit. It's not, don't think of just the girls.
What about when internet came along and all the girls that were making VHS and DVDs, and then all the girls that made or in the magazines, all of a sudden they had people going to YouPorn and fucking all these different pages, PornTube, and getting free porn. They didn't have to pay anymore. All those girls were out of business. They had to figure out some shit. Right?
They didn't necessarily go out of business, but it didn't help their business, and they had to adapt and they had to evolve. Yeah. And that's sex work. It always has since the dawn of time. It's the oldest profession in the world. So it'll always find its way to adapt and evolve with the times. And so, but now things like OnlyFans and stuff, yeah, it does become big world news when stuff like that happens, because it's so polarizing in so many ways too, because so many people love to make fun of people that do stuff like that, especially, right? So, but this
I wouldn't know anything about that.
No, I bet you wouldn't. But let's see if you know something about this next question. So tying in with OnlyFans, this is an interesting question. Do you think a male gynecologist still enjoys eating pussy? I don't know. Some people enjoy their work and some people love taking their work home with them. Some people it does the opposite. I imagine looking at all
Ha-
dip like
have you met a creepy gynecologist?
I don't can't say I've ever even met a gynecologist.
It's weird. Okay, so I've met a couple gynecologists. I've met a couple people that have done colonoscopies. Not personally know these people, but like I said, I do volunteer work where for ultrasound machines and stuff, right? So these people are doing all types of different tests. No, I'm not getting like the pap smear. No, I'm not going into a gynecologist. But these people that have the careers that are professionals, they do this for a living. And no, that topic's never come up, but I don't know. Some of them are just seem like they're like the weirdest type of people, and like that doesn't affect their normal everyday life. So I'm gonna say I think if whether they prefer before or discover it after and decide that they want to go and do that. Um, yeah, it's weird because at first I thought it was like gynecology and gastrointestinal GIs and stuff. I thought their jobs were like, oh fuck, they're sticking things up people's asses and all this other stuff. I'm fucking weirdo. I'd probably fucking go home and jerk off, or like think all that weird teenager fucked up shit, right? But like it's their profession. But like, it's their profession, So I don't think it gets in the way. Like it's kind of like the person working at the meat packing plant. Like he'll still eat hamburger, even though he's like killing cows.
I just love
Right.
how you use meat as an example. Fucking beef curtains versus beef here, apparently.
But yeah, that's my take on it. If I was to give it my spinneroo.
Honestly, it I don't know. It depends. It's a strange question, first of all, but I think it just depends on maybe certain ones. I know if you ever watch an episode of Friends, it's something that comes up with one of the doctors that Rachel goes on, where he basically is like, you see just day in and day out of like vaginas ripping open for babies to come out of. It kind of just kills the whole thing for you. So yeah, I think it just depends on the type of mind that you have. But moving on to the next question here. Let's see, there's a few here that I'm looking at, but let's get to this one. Speaking of a lot of things happening in the world, one of the biggest things that's going on in the world right now is the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan. President Biden has made a very controversial decision by pulling out the troops fairly quickly there, and it has left it wide open for Kabul and the capital to be taken back over by the Taliban. And now even President Biden is doing deals with the Taliban just to ensure that his American people are getting out safely. So this listener asked, what's your thoughts on Afghanistan and the way the Biden administration has handled this or fumbled this, for lack of a better word?
Well, as of today, someone proved that he didn't make a deal with Taliban to get troops out. People with passports aren't being allowed to go through and just like safe passage. Some of them are actually getting like tackled down, etc. I think it's a total failure, but at the same time, I kind of had a prediction in the beginning that America was going to get their first female president, and there was going to be some way for them to get it, and it would have to be a big one. Either he's just fucking batshit crazy, or he does something out of this fucking world to get out of the president's seat. And this is what happened. Everyone wants him gone, and no one's thinking of that one. So I think there's a part of that why it was just so easy to go tear in there. Russia and China are kind of celebrating this. They're gonna talk to them and stuff and make it. They've already said that they'll consider them, a country, and they'll do talks with them because they can control them, in my opinion. What better way, and but yeah, all the people that are there trying to get out, that's scary. You look at pictures, you look at things on the news where they've got babies being passed along to the fences and stuff. So like those images are pretty horrific. There's some conspiracy theories about the plane I seen. Like some people are trying to say that it's a decoy plane and that whole thing was just a show. I don't know the truth on that or not, but that was still interesting to see because they've got pictures of different planes and decoy planes. And it's true, the decoy plane pictures they show look exactly the same. But I mean the videos are, you hear the fucking engines and you see the takeoff. So who's to judge? But that was an interesting spin nonetheless. But yeah, Biden totally failed that one. And then he kind of says it's like, well, it's not our problem anymore, and we needed to get out. And it's like just years ago we were saying how Taliban is such a terrorist organization, and now they have an entire country. With all the things that come with that Sharia law. I don't know how to pronounce that one, but the law that comes with it. A woman can't go out in public. They have to be fully covered. They can only go out with their husband, and the public lashings, public executions, et cetera, et cetera. Like, yeah, it's fucking crazy over there, and no one's gonna come in and clean house, I don't think. And what Trump said, the number one thing he'd do right in this moment was he'd be bombing the bases. He'd be clearing out as much equipment as they can. But at first you take out all your citizens, right? Like all the Americans, get them the fuck out as fast as you can, and then you bomb those bases that you built. You bomb them, and you fucking try to get your equipment out, or you fucking destroy it because it's yours.
Yeah,
and they have it. So
yes, they do.
Either way, that's how the fuck it should be. If you don't want to play the democracy game and you don't want to help the country, well, at least get your shit back, or fucking have some kind of, because everyone's watching right now. Everyone's watching.
Oh yeah. This
and
is such a colossal failure.
America does not look good, like at all.
No, I mean, give it to our friends down south to always go a few months before figuring out the next thing to not look good on the world stage. But my goodness, this one is. My thoughts on Afghanistan in total is that this has been a no-win situation since September 11th, 2001. And I never understood why the Bush, well, I do, but I have my theories anyway, but I never understood why the Bush administration was responding to the attacks by taking on two countries, by taking on Iraq and Afghanistan, when realistically you could wage war, yeah, against the Taliban and whatnot, but that makes sense. But Iraq and all that never made sense. So there were so many things that didn't make sense. But what made sense about Afghanistan was that at least they were going to take on the people that were ultimately responsible, which was the Taliban, headed by Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda, right? All the same. Taliban, Al Qaeda, it's all the same shit. Regardless of the fact, that makes sense. But I mean, damn, bin Laden's been gone for a really long time or whatnot. Why did you stay there? So obviously you stayed there. Now you've become a different president's problem each time around. It became Obama's problem. It became Trump's problem. And then it got to Biden. And I guess Biden decided that he didn't want it to be a problem no more, and that it wasn't going to affect the next president, or it wasn't going to affect him. And it's just like, yink, let's go. Like you said, though, Taliban have Black Hawks now. They've got all this weaponry that was abandoned and left behind. I'm not a president. I can't tell you what it's like to come up with a plan to get out all your troops and get out all your American people and all that shit without drawing any sort of Taliban attention, because they've been waiting in the wings for 20 years. And they were going to take this motherfucker back one way or another. They were just waiting, unless they stayed there forever. And that's the thing, too, that I don't understand as well, is Americans have stationed troops all over the world that'll never really ever leave those countries. I don't even understand why they even had to leave. But that's not for me to understand. I'm not an American and I'm not a politician, and it's none of my business.
From what I heard, it was a strategic pullout. Like they were going to be slowly pulled out over time, and that just got extended / no one really defended themselves. The president filled his cars with fucking cash and valuables and fucking went to the airport and took off. Like,
Yeah, the president of Afghanistan. Yes.
yeah, the president of Afghanistan. So
Yeah.
like, I think there was a series of events, most definitely, like that led it up to this. But the president leaving, that's something else. And you look at the Afghanistan army, and even though the Americans trained them, it's like they didn't have a hope in hell.
No, they
Like,
didn't.
no, and you got to think you're living down there in the trenches, right? Like you can join the Taliban, or you can fucking join the Americans. What do who
Well,
wouldn't
exactly.
be? If you got a family, you're and you got daughters, and you're stuck there, you better hope you didn't work for the Americans, and you better shut up and fucking do what you're told until you can get out somehow.
It's just to answer the question, it's just an unfortunate situation all around. It's just tragic in a lot of ways. And it's why I get really upset when people in Canada and America and all these great places to live make big deals out of certain things that don't need to be made big deals of. Do you think that if our government was overthrown by a fucking a terrorist organization, that we'd be talking about COVID-19 and vaccinations right now? No. That would be it'd be the last fucking thing. So I don't know. We're very privileged that we get to only worry about whether or not we're putting a vaccine in our arm or not. And it's times like those where you see shit like that that really puts that into perspective. So that's my thoughts on Afghanistan. Let's go to the other big one. Let's talk about what's going on big in Canada. So Justin Trudeau, our prime minister, has decided to call a snap election about a year early, with only about a little over 30 days for himself and his opponents to campaign. The Liberal government currently holds a minority government right now, and the thought behind this and the political strategy on this is to hopefully finagle a majority government. And with how they've quote unquote handled the pandemic and such, they feel like the time is now. One of the biggest things that is being instituted is a lot like what happened with our friends down south, and that's mail-in voting is going to be very easy to do this time around. You're going to be able to go and register online quick as any other website you'd bring up is as quick as you'd bring this up and register yourself to mail and vote, rather than having to go to a certain office in your local area to register for such a thing. So the question is, what do you think of the Liberal government calling a snap election 1 year early and with only a month to do the campaign?
With all the stuff going on in our country right now, with all the regulations and all of that, to me it's just asinine that it's even happening. Like, everyone hopes to, like, oh, don't vote Trudeau in, don't vote Trudeau in, but everyone here on the West knows for some reason there's a huge support over on the East for him, and not you specifically, but you guys fucking vote him in all the fucking time. That's where all the majority of the votes comes from, Ontario and Quebec. And it's like fucking frustrating as fuck for us over here. Like we feel like we're ignored when it comes to things, when it comes to like liberals being in charge.
Right.
So a lot of people in BC, they hop on the NDP bandwagon.
A lot of them. Yeah, BC's been orange for a long time.
Yeah, and then the ones that seemed like they were NDP, throw a few elections back, and then they got sick of what NDP is doing because they're kind of getting tighter on with the Liberals. So they just go to Green Party. Like here where I am, the Green Party members, the MLA, he hasn't done fuck all since he's been here, in my opinion. But then again, what do they do nowadays? Like, someone's kind of got to show to me the change, because I haven't seen it, other than that fucking bike lane that fucking Brad likes so much downtown. But no, the elections, there was a time where I was like, they're really important to me and they mean so much, change can be made and yada yada yada. And it's not about winning or losing to me, whoever I vote for, because no matter who it is, they change their shit. They change what they're gonna do. They fuck you over in the end, anyways. You know, like you said, the conservatives platform seems a little left leaning, and it's probably because they break all those promises in the end, anyways. In my opinion, like let's just try to get them in here. You know, make enough of a change. Maybe they'll stick around at the end. Like no, none of them have to stick to their promises. All they get is someone fucking finger wagging at them, like us, or you know, people that make podcasts or talk to each other at fucking you know, the fucking coffee time on break. And they go, well, he didn't keep his promises, you know, like people said it about Trump too, certain promises he didn't keep. And Biden, no one fucking cares. They just care about what they're doing today. And they don't really, you know, they just want to talk about it. Like it's gossip. So like, yeah, I don't know. I wish he wasn't given an election because you want to throw the COVID spin in there. It's true. It's like, well, why the fuck should we all get in buildings? And then he does the mail thing, you know, and everyone's all suspicious about mail fraud, you know, when it comes to voting. And, you know, so we're going to throw it in a fucking quarantine to make it so people don't want to go down and vote physically. But even voting physically, man, you've got all the fucking old people in the back counting them with their fucking hands. Like the electronic, you can have a hacker, you know, it doesn't matter. In some way or the other, there could be a fucking fraud. And even when they showed it with Trump, they're like, well, it didn't happen. And they have it on fucking tape numerous times. People dumping ballots and shit. So what the fuck? You know, it's just like another fucking chore we got to do. So it's like taxes, like someone saying, oh, you got to do your taxes early. It's like, oh, thanks, buds. Okay, thanks. You gotta see all these ugly motherfuckers on their signs when you're driving around. Okay. Fucking they come fucking vote for me. I've got a fucking orange background and my name's fucking Derek Belongdringer, you know, and I'm gonna change your fucking community, you know, and they all got these fucked up faces. They got probably all of them probably got the best dental care going, but it's so fucking white. It's whiter than their fucking eyes.
And
like,
nobody's voting for them. They're voting for the guy to get in. That they don't even. They're just like,
yeah.
I'm whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I gotta see all these fucking faces as I'm fucking going around, and it's like I don't fucking care. Like I care, but I don't care about them. Like you said, they're not important. This is like a step up in their resume. You know, they're getting their fucking. You know, they used to be a fucking a counselor in a fucking community, so now they're want their MLA spots. So they can keep going and shit, and it's just like step up the ladder for them. Yeah. It's a bunch of fucking hooby jimmy fucking billboards on the fucking road. No one needs to fucking see that shit. See enough McDonald's advertisements and stuff. I don't need to see a bunch of other people trying to convince me to vote for them on their fucking looks alone.
Well, this is your segment, This is your grind my gear segment for the week for sure. But I hear you. It is annoying. Thankfully, it's only 30 days. That's the only blessing. Well, it's less than now because the election's in a couple weeks. But at least it's only on a short term. But I think it's bullshit. It just stinks. It stinks. It doesn't smell right. What minority government, after going through a pandemic where your name is being dragged through the mud every single day along with your party because you can't do nothing right when the microscope is so on you that even if Trudeau was doing right things, they'd still get criticized. What would be so advantageous to do an election a year early to think that you're going to finagle some more time either in a minority, but more than likely you're thinking you're going to get a majority? Probably because of some fuck shit. Like you said, voter fraud, electoral fraud. It's there. It's ripe for the picking. Biden and his team, they saw it. They took advantage of it. The first time in American history, other than troops overseas, were allowed to do mail-in voting. Now, all of a sudden, we're doing mail-in voting. But it's safe to go vote. It's okay. But, you know, if you get sick while out to voting, though, it's the non-vaccinated's fault.
And you'll see it. You'll see it. They fucking buy votes, and they're already doing it. NDP, they're going to fucking give everybody free dental care. They're going to give people rental assistance. They're going to put a pinch on landlords doing rent evictions. All this other shit that's going on. It's like, hey, that's great. And someone would look at it and they'd be like, hey, motherfucker, like they know my story. They'd be like, you should be stoked on that. because I ain't got the prettiest teeth in the world, and I'd love to not have to pay for a dentist, and I'd love the fucking shit to go down for rent evictions. But everything that comes with it, I realize that I'm like, that money has to fucking come from somewhere. That money has to come from somewhere to do this. For everybody to get fucking free dental care, I can't imagine the tax spike. That's coming from somebody. Because everybody, me alone, like people like me, I'm gonna go fucking running to the dentist, go and fix my teeth, motherfucker, fix my teeth for free, and they'll be
But that money
lined up.
comes from us.
Yeah, the skip people that I don't tip.
It literally comes from everybody, though. It comes from the taxpayer, and that's what it's like. Don't you understand? And that's like yeah, it's just honestly, it's just a joke. It's clearly a joke, and we'll see what the results are. But it stinks. That's my final answer. It stinks. Something don't smell right about it. There's some sort of underlying devious strategy to make it unsavory. But yeah, I used to really think that my vote made a difference and whatnot, and I'm more inclined this election to vote than ever. But it's just sad to think that my vote could be absolutely meaningless because the election's already been decided and we're still a few weeks out. So that's my thoughts on that. So as we're winding down the shop here, we're going to pick another question or two. So one of the listeners wants to know, is it wise to stay at a job that financially provides everything and more, but ruins you emotionally and mentally?
No, dish that job. Fucking dish that job. No, because you need to invest your time into something else that's more beneficial for yourself. That's how I feel. Work that job for a year. If you think you need to do that job, work it for a year and then fucking get rid of it. Save the money that you make on it and invest it in something that makes you happy. Do something. Don't stick with that fucking job. There's better shit around the corner. If one fucking employer is doing it for you, you got your foot in the door, that means something. You can find that opportunity somewhere else. Yeah.
I fully concur. Yeah, no, I think that's the right answer. It's one thing I've come to learn as of late is that you can't put a price on your own happiness and your own mental health. And these are conversations that I've had with some of my own employees where I say, is this worth your mental health? Because I understand a good paying job and I understand how, they don't easily come every day, especially the really good paying jobs. They're not always, I've had the fortunate pleasure of having some really good paying jobs, but they were super hard to stick around for. And I've had to give them up in the name of my mental health because it just wasn't worth it near the end. And I've been happier making less money in some places. And, thankfully enough, I've been able to find a vocation and a career where I make really good money and I don't mind going to work, and that will happen for you, but you have to keep betting on yourself. Don't let people tell you that if you're a job hopper, you're a piece of shit or that you have to stick it out because, that's just what you have to do. Hey, man, as long as you're working and you're contributing to society and you're paying your bills or whatever have you, you're living your truth in your life. No one should tell you how that is. Don't conform under these stupid societal norms. I can't stand societal norms because they're getting worse. But one of those ones is that stigma of you have to stay at a job. And if you're a job hopper, you're lazy or you're this or that. It's a stigma that's carried me forever because I've job hopped a lot. But it's because I refuse to stay somewhere I'm not happy for the name of making money. I'm just not. I will find something else that makes me happy and I'll keep gambling, keep betting on myself to find that happiness. And if I don't find it, I'll keep trying until I do.
And that's why I'm quitting OnlyFans.
I thought you were going to say that's why I'm quitting this podcast. And I'm like, joke's on you. We don't make any money, motherfucker. Oh, that's good. Okay, well, this is I'm gonna out the listener for this one. This is a Stacy question, so we're gonna end it with a Stacy question because Stacy's one of our most loyal listeners, and I can't say enough amazing things about her. So I'm gonna give her the privilege of the last question here. If you had to choose between drinking an ounce shot of someone else's spit or a dry ounce shot of dandruff, what would you choose? Okay, so do you need a second to think?
Oh no.
Oh, you're just fiddling with the mute
It's the
button.
shit.
Okay.
It's the shitty thing because the person's not here is the part, because it's like, do you get to choose the person who's spitting?
Well, I mean, that wasn't specific to the question, so I believe.
So it's like a random. We're just gonna say it's a random, like you're spinning the wheel of spit.
Sure, yeah, we can say that. Yeah, the wheel of spit. Come on down.
I'm guessing off the top of my head, that at the top of my head, dandruff it's going to be safer because I don't think as many germs are transmitted as it would be with the saliva. Now, if the saliva is clean and like undiseased saliva, then I would, with texture, I would assume the saliva would be a better choice. But when it comes to getting sick and like with long-term sickness, I'm gonna choose dandruff over the saliva because I think there's less of a chance with the dandruff. It would be a really hard thing because the texture wouldn't be nice, but knowing that the spit could have some really bad long-term effects compared to the dandruff would be troubling. So yeah, they're gonna go dandruff.
Dandruff is your final answer. Well, I'm definitely choosing spit because I've made out with a ton of different people in my time. And what's the difference between exchanging spit with another female that, like, what's the difference really?
That's literally, like I said, if it's clean, then most definitely. But if this is random, that saliva could be from someone of the opposite sex. That saliva could be someone that has herpes.
It could, yeah. I definitely agree with you in that regard. I think that you took it to a very detailed place, and
I'm concerned about my health.
You're a detail-orientated guy. You should be, but we didn't set the parameters. It's not like I'm going to assume this is just some random person spit. You put this whole entire thing on it. So
you're assuming that there's safety.
It says of someone else's spit. I would probably know who that someone else's spit is, but you put is it random? Is it someone with herpes? Is it the troll under the bridge? And
who the fuck's handing out shot glasses of spit that you know that you can trust?
Stacy, clearly.
See, I know Stacy through you, and knowing you, I don't know if I could trust Stacy's sort of spit that comes from being supplied by the Stacy person. So you could be very vindictive and just say it's from Stacy, but it could be your spit. I haven't seen your health chart. I haven't eaten at your restaurant lately.
And no, I will not give you my vaccination status card. Well, you know what? I think that does it for our first Q&A. That's 10 episodes in the bag. I mean, how cool is that? We've gotten to 10 episodes. We're heading on episode 11 next week. Next week's going to be an all dog episode or all animals. It's not just going to be specific to dogs, but it was what I originally intended to do for episode 9, but just didn't have the mental capability of doing so. So the next one's going to be a dog themed episode. We're going to do our usual format and some of our usual segments. We're going to replace it with our 4-legged friends that we love so much. But yeah, man, 10 episodes. Thank you very much for everything that you've done to help us get us to 10 episodes. And you're a huge part of this show. I wouldn't be at this point without you. So
I wouldn't be doing this without you either. I've actually really started to enjoy this quite a bit. It's awesome. And it's cool that we're getting the support. I really enjoy that too. So everyone just keep liking and sharing, and we'll keep this ball rolling, this party going.
Yeah, because we got some cool surprises coming up in the, like, surprises that only you and I know about that no one else does. And we're starting to get contacted by some pretty cool people. So we got
the sad thing is we can't do the OnlyFans package now because they're blocking all the nudity now. So like all that work that we did together
No,
And
no,
with
the
Brad.
nudity is fine. No, the nudity is fine. We can post the nudity. We just have to find a new platform for all the videos that were created.
So those ones that we did with Brad that night.
We spoke that we said we would never speak on that shit again. So much so, it's so traumatizing that I can't even speak English. But anyway, it's been a great 10 episodes thus far. We look forward to another 10, another 100, another 110. But this is Stu Francis, host of the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast.
This is Mike Barakoff from Cutlet House Plays. Signing off.
Signing off until episode 11 next week. And again, share, like, subscribe.